This is the start of the developmental status page. At the very beginning, you will have the date of the IFSP. And this is report date because this is the day you are reporting the scores to the family. Here, if a child was born premature, you can enter that information right here. This part right here says, if eligibility was determined without any one or more of these sources, click the boxes below. By law, these sources are all supposed to be incorporated into an IFSP. These boxes should never be checked unless a parent does not give consent or does not wish to participate in any of these sections. And if that is the case, you need to explain that information right down here. As you can see, when we get into the developmental status page, we have the present levels on the left side and the professional input or need for special education on the right. In the middle, we have the assessment tool and the title and the date. So I will start entering the tool and the name. And the title will be evaluator. The date of the assessment was the 1st. Now this is something to pay attention to throughout the IFSP. If you see a little pencil to a paper, you can select that. And what that does is that will drop down all this information throughout those areas. That way you do not have to put this same information in multiple areas. It will save you a little bit of time. So what I will then come over here and do is I will write in the scores. You can put past age expectation. You can put past 24 to 35 months. You can put their scale scores in here. However it is that your district documents their present level of performance, that is what you would put in this particular category. And again, you would use the date from that assessment to enter in there. And again, I can fill in all those dates by pushing the pencil and the paper. So I will continue to go down the screen by filling in where the child scored. In the cognitive section, this child scored at 15 to 16 month skills. There is a discrepancy between 15 to 16 month skills and 24 months. So because there is a delay there, I may put on the professional side, potentially consider special ed. For communication, again, there was some delays there. They passed 10 to 15 month skills. So I would put down consider speech therapy. And then I continue to fill in all the sections as I scroll down. Then you will notice after all the developmental domain areas, you will have a place for parent-student observation. This could be that the child uses gestures and parent is able to communicate through the child by gestures. It could be that mom was very responsive to the child. It could be that mom has a hard time understanding what the child is saying. Whatever that parent says or whatever you observe, that is the information that you can put here. And this can give you some more information about that overall parent and child interaction. The next section is the developmental history. This could be a variety of things as well. If a child was born premature, if a child has any sort of diagnosis, that information would go here. If there's been any type of important circumstance that has happened in that child's life, such as ear infections even, or trips to the hospital. So for Daisy, she had multiple ear infections. And this would be important to know, especially with some of those delays in communication. Then we scroll down, and by law, again, we have to have a hearing, a vision, and a health screen. When a child is initially evaluated by early on, there is a hearing and a vision screen always done. So if that child's screened age appropriate, we would just write that information in here. Now this section is where you have to come back and you have to fill in the information. So for this particular child, the MET team did the screener. And the date would be that date of the evaluation. So for the vision, you go through the same process. Now, sometimes you may find that there are some delayed scores in the hearing or the vision, and that may not be because a child cannot hear or see. It may be simply because they have a developmental delay, and that would be noted within that section. Then down here under the health section, this is where you will put the information received by the physician. Now again, by law, this is a required section. Attempts at least have to be made. So if you are unable to get the medical information, make sure you write attempts have been made numerous times. Otherwise, you would put the doctor in there. And we're just using a fake name for this particular doctor, the title, and the tool that was used. And for the physicians, that would be observation and developmental intake. And then the date that you received that medical back from the doctor. Then in the section with the present level, that is where you would write down either what the doctor had checked as a concern under the developmental areas, or you would write what they stated was a concern. So for this particular doctor, they put concerns in social, cognitive, and speech skills. And again, you would put that date. Down here, you have if you would like to upload any of the MET forms or any of the evaluations that you conducted, you can always upload that as well to this page. That way it will give whoever needs to go back and look at the IFSP, it will give them that information. Otherwise, you can select Next Step. By selecting Next Step, that will save all the information from your developmental status. This is the end of the developmental status. The next step is the family interview.